massively impact the roster that much. Interested to see how Winter is going to go. But in a meta like this, I don't think the DPS players necessarily have that big impact like they used to. So if you're going to be on Brigitte, you might as well have anyone on that point. At that point, I think. Obviously, not the case. But, you know, I think the discrepancy or the impact that you can have as an individual when it comes to a GOATS composition isn't quite as much as you used to be able to as a DPS in metas of days past.
Well, Jordan, as we pile on out of the karaoke bar, it's going to be Cantus going down. Sadboy actually did find Oily as well. It's a 1-for-1. Start things off. Control point about to unlock here. Oh. Whoa, yeah. We talked about before how we didn't see many Widows, and Nox going to get down straight away there to render.
Yeah, not so sure that the Widow is going to be particularly impactful here, as we'll decide to swap back over onto the Zarya. Sadboy just resetting himself. Pretty clean fight win there for Melbourne Mavericks. So a lot of boops going on. Winter already starting off nicely on Brigitte, getting a fair bit of damage out there. But it was Mini that had a big impact, and Mini back for Melbourne Mavericks. He was not staying with the roster toward the end of things there for Serenity, but back now. And there was a bit of an outcry when he was removed from the roster, so see how he goes here.
Oh, the chat are going to come through here from Davey. Maybe not having the impact that they desired in that particular scenario. Bobble's also going to throw out the Transcendence. Actually finds Davey as well. That's a great play coming out from the support player. 40% is where the Melbourne Mavericks are right now on this first point here in downtown Busan. Looking very good for them so far. Yeah,
Bobble's definitely one of those cheeky Zenyatta's that you need to keep an eye on, because he could almost double as a DPS slot the way that he does play. Coming into this fight though, Kanga Esports with a couple of support ultimates available for use. Maybe has gone back over to the Reinhardt, and it is just an all-out brawl right now. Oily demexed before the sound barrier comes across, just a little bit late there from Fluoro. It's going to cost them potentially the whole fight.
Yeah, the whole kit and caboodle being thrown out, which cost Melbourne Mavericks essentially everything. Kanga going to get the point back at 74% right now, just in the nick of time. But if Melbourne do manage to win just one more fight here, Jordan, and get the control point back onto their side of things, they're going to be in prime position to pick up the first round here.
Yeah, well, they'll need to win one fight plus another one to make sure that they win the round. The first fight to recontest, recapture. Second to finish things off. So still a little bit of work to be done here by Melbourne Mavericks. Winter going a little bit too far forward this time, copying a hammer to the face. Oily is going to be smashed into the wall there. Davey did throw out the Earth Shatter, connected to the majority of Melbourne Mavericks players, but now he's going to be taken down himself. Mini charging on in there, also traded out. There's an exchange of players from both sides.
Yep, essentially going 1-for-1 and 2-for-2.
Favourable enough for Kanga Esports, as they're the ones in possession of the point.
Yep, every second wasted is a second essentially gained here by Kanga. So they'll do what they can, up to 50% right now. Well, we're looking perhaps for a better fight this time around. The Graviton Surge coming out from Kanga. You did see Mini try and do something here with the Earth Shatter. Unsuccessful, unfortunately, for him.
Here's the recontest from the Melbourne Mavericks, though, as the sound barrier comes across. Great shatter from Davey. He'll shut down 4 balls. Mini as well is going to drop as a result, and that is a clean wipe out from Kanga Esports. Davey, take a bow. That fight was yours. The Melbourne Mavericks now, they are starting to be put under the pump a little bit.
Up to 90, well, up to 80% even. They are now ahead of where Melbourne were, and looking quite strong. Ultimates pretty even right now as well, Elfishguy. We'll see which one plays out better. Both teams going to use Rally Everyone with a little bit of free armor for now. But Mini going to be the first one to go down to render the Brigitte, doing what Brigitte does best. Look,
Winter's
that's going to be less than ideal.
You do not want to be isolated as a diva. It's so easy to collapse upon you. And Oily will be able to get Davey, but this is starting to look a little bit bad for Melbourne Mavericks. Self-destruct, though, changes things indeed. Oily with a big one. And Melbourne Mavericks, they will hold on for another fight as they cap the point back across. 99 is up, though, for Kanga Esports. All it's going to take for them is one fight win. Cantus with the Transcendence will go very close to the sound barrier. The same cannot be said for Melbourne Mavericks. Across the board, they are lacking the ultimates. This is Kanga's fight to lose.
It certainly is. It's going to be 99-99 very, very shortly here. Self-destruct coming through. Not going to find anyone, but as winner going down to Davey, so they'll take that mini out as well. Kanga looking very good right now into overtime on the point, but Melbourne will not win this fight. Kanga will bring the control point back across to them.
Who can even touch for the overtime at this point?
Round.
No one is the answer.
Yeah.
It's going to be 100% to 99 for Kanga Esports, starting things off nicely. But just the first round of Busan there, and to be so close.
Yeah. So close, but so far.
Could go either way. Couple more ultimates in the bank there for Melbourne Mavericks, and they might have held that one. But they just had nothing to contest with, and when you're up against 2 support ults, it's such an impossible task, really.
Those support ultimates, some of the most important ultis in the game as well.
Yep, they can shut down multiple ults. Transcendence can shut down 3 or 4 ults if it's used correctly. Doesn't matter if you're lying on the ground or stuck in a grab or what have you. If there's a Transcendence there to keep you alive.
Well, we make our way out across into Sanctuary now. And Kanga 1-0 up here on Busan. Let's see if they can make this 2-0 and put themselves 1 map ahead. Be a great position to be in, and Sad Boy finds winner straight away there with the Diva, combined of course with another Brigitte, because that's what Brigittes do. Mini going to go down as well. And Kanga in a good position. Look at this, Lush already up at about 100% energy as well on the Zarya.
It was a very, very close thing for Melbourne there, to be honest. They almost won that. Davey got very, very low. Nearly got picked off. Mini, though, overextending in the attempt to find the kill onto Davey, and Melbourne Mavericks suffer a defeat as a result. Be able to survive. Here comes Melbourne Mavericks, though, for their second contest. Rally out from Render already. Charged up very quickly indeed.
Yeah, Davey low at about 50% right now. Going to get healed back up for the moment. We'll see who's going to get the first pick in this next battle. Winner goes down. Render's gone down as well. It's been a 1-for-1. The defensive ultimates on the side of the Mavericks for now as they push back towards the point. They should be able to recapture this one. It's already up to 32% for Kanga, but that's as far as it will get for now.
Sad Boy going to be staggered here as well. He is indeed going to be a Sad Boy. And it'll cost his team a fair bit of time.
Yeah, gonna have to regroup, wait it out. Melbourne with 4 ultimates available. Kanga in the same scenario. Going to be able to top that up with Sad Boy in just a second. Yeah, very aggressive Graviton Surge coming out from Melbourne, followed up with Oily Self-Destruct. That's going to slow them right down. They're going to have to reset and try again. Only 2 ultimates used, great timing come out from the Mavericks.
And they can do that because they stagger Sad Boy so much. They push forward into the 5v6. They know they have an advantage there. And they'll buy themselves even some more time. That's probably another 20 to 30% just off that one little push out from Melbourne Mavericks. Now Render, or rather Winter again with the...
With the everything, Jordan, with the everything. Sound barrier going to come out. Davey still looking low, stays alive for now. Sad Boy finds a pick, Lush as well. Well, I guess they combine really to pick up the Diva, but Kanga going to bring it back onto the point, and we'll be able to swing this back towards their favour for now. A crucial fight win for them. It looked like Melbourne were maybe going to start walking away with this second round, Jordan, but for now, not the case.
No, definitely not. It was a nice earth shatter from Davey. And he's back up to 1 again. Almost, at least. Melbourne Mavericks definitely not too favoured at the moment here on Busan. Maybe this series is going to be a little bit more surprising than we would have expected. Maybe very similar to highest in freshman class. Nox leading the charge right now for his roster. There's another Earth Shatter out for Davey, but it cost him his life, and he doesn't really get too much value out of it at all.
Does not indeed. These were the picks that Melbourne wanted to make to start things off. Losh goes down as well. Now Melbourne with a big advantage. They want to try and bring the point back across to their side. Both teams relatively even in terms of percentage on the control point, but that will soon not be the case. Melbourne in prime position. They have the ultimate advantage. They have the player advantage. And again, look, this is going to push forward. Nox has a Graviton Surge available. Want to see who we can find. Sad Boy still the last one to respawn.
A lot of tempo now for Melbourne Mavericks as they have 6 ultimates available this fight. Earth Shatter will be the option of choice. It only connects onto Sad Boy, but still forces the trance out, and that is perfect now for the Graviton Surge. There should be follow-up here from Melbourne Mavericks, but not so much.
Yeah,
Self-Destruct doesn't do too much damage, and again, a counter-grav out now from Kanga.
I'm not sure about that first or the second self-destruct, to be perfectly honest. None of them really combining with their counterparts particularly well.
97%.
Render going to go down. Yeah, no one on the point, and that is perfect here for Melbourne. Kanga going to try and get someone across for now. Contested as long as they can, but it will not matter. Melbourne going to make this 1-1. We're going to head into the Mecha base, Jordan.
Yeah, it was Wilco that was the one to at least secure the overtime there for Kanga, but in the end, the fight was well and truly lost for them. Nicely done from Melbourne Mavericks, really keeping Kanga Esports quite far away from that point, so there was pressure on because of that timer. And like you say, we head on to our third round of Busan. Mavericks looking a little bit better that time.
This is a cool map, Jordan, I just want to say.
You like it?
I do like it.
It's because you're a Diva fan.
Look, I do kind of like Diva. This is the Mecha base. This is where they launch the mechas. That makes sense, right?
Yep.
That's where they go.
I think, in theory, that's what it's supposed to be.
Diva was the last one left, Jordan. They all battled against the Omnics.
Yep.
And only Diva's mech remained. Then it was up to her to save the day.
Yep.
The classic self-destruct. Play of the game. That would have got a Macca's play of the game.
Yep.
That is for sure. If anyone's watched the animated short, it's not really that short, to be honest.
No, it's like
quite
7
long.
minutes or so.
Yeah. Well, here we go. It all comes down to this here on Busan. Both teams would love to find themselves one map ahead.
That's perfect from Mini. Perfect timing on the bubble as well from Nox. Everything just working in unison there for Melbourne Mavericks. Getting the first pick straight away as well onto Cantus, the Zenyatta. Lovely, because it does mean that there's going to be so much less damage being put down onto Mavericks. Once the Zenyatta is gone, Discord Orb is such a big part of beating out a GOAT's composition. It's the one way that you can really chunk down a target. And he's up to Primal Rage already.
Yeah, that was actually a really great first push coming out from Melbourne. Going to see what they can do this time around as well. Oily Low getting forwards back. Mini's been using that Primal Rage. Finds Cantus. So much HP on a very, very tanky Winston. Melbourne going to find themselves 2 from 2 in terms of team fights. Means that the point is going to keep ticking in their favor, at least for now. But if you look on the other side of things, Kanga, they've got Lush, they've got Render. They're going to have Sad Boy, Swilko, and Davey, even Cantor soon. Depends whether they're going to wait for a full 6 stack here worth of ultimates and how many of those they choose to use, Jordan. They're not going to get much chance, to be honest, to do anything other than save these up. They all go down. A great Graviton Surge combined with a pretty good self-destruct from Oily as well.
Yeah, Rally totally irrelevant in that situation for Render.
Irrelevant.
Everybody just gets absolutely wrecked. Melbourne Mavericks put a fair bit into it. Kanga Esports now will respond in kind. It's their turn to win a fight, though one could argue too little too late at 65%. They've actually decided to rotate their position. They're going to go straight to the point. They want to get on there and put the pressure onto the cap as fast as they can. Dangerous coming out from there, though, as it gives the high ground over to the Mavericks.
It does indeed, and they kind of get split up as they try and push on, but Fluoro the first down, Render finds one as well. Kanga with that ultimate advantage. The Trance going to come out from Forbles, but it will not be enough. He's found out as well. Kanga going to flip the point back across their side of things, but not before it gets to 90% here, Jordan. Been a very costly couple of minutes for Kanga, and now Melbourne only need to win one more fight.
Yeah, up to 94% before the flip finally does come across for Kanga, but that's a very good fight for them. Really just steamrolling all over Melbourne Mavericks, and they've got everything that they need to hold on for at least another 1 or 2 fights before Melbourne Mavericks can come back with their own. It comes down to who can get those ults off first, time and time again, though, for Melbourne Mavericks. If they get this first grab off, if they can really delete Kanga Esports before some of those ultimates are thrown out, they see the end of this map a little quicker than anticipated.
They will indeed. Earthshatter comes through, not
Good
as
block.
ideal as it could have been. As you said, very good block coming through. Candace down. Sound Barrier saves Binny for the moment. Davey low, Davey picked up. Sad Boy has to self-destruct. Candace isn't there to use the Trance either. Melbourne getting the picks that they need. Even though Kanga got to 37%, that may be all she wrote here, Jordan. At least for Busan. Kangaroos weren't meant to be in Korea anyway.
No, certainly not. But then again, you could argue Melbourne was never meant to be in Korea. But there you go. As Mavericks are starting off the series with what looks to be a map victory of their own. Grav now coming out from Nox.
Yeah, you'd think
Oily
this
will
comes
get
through.
3.
Oily does find the pick there. I think that shield was very nicely picked up by a team member. So the overtime ticks through. It doesn't matter how many times Kanga want to trickle onto the point. They're doing their best, but it will not work out in their favour. Melbourne 2-1 up against Kanga. Their first matchup of season number 3 of Overwatch Contenders Australia. That was actually quite close.
Very close indeed. A little bit slow to start off for Melbourne Mavericks, but I think as we got further and further into Busan there, we saw the cogs starting to turn. Everything seemed to start working a little bit better into unison. Yeah, maybe just a little bit too slow there for Kanga, and unfortunately, Melbourne Mavericks able to catch up onto them. Even despite the good start. I mean, you say good start, it was 99-99 on the first point, so who says it couldn't have been a 2-0 there for Melbourne Mavericks? I do think we've still got a little bit more left in the tank here, though, for Kanga Esports. We'll have to see how they go about playing Hollywood or Numbani. We're not ready to call this series just yet. It's not as convincing as what we saw, for example, for Order over Breakaway. Right now, these two teams still feel fairly evenly matched in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely agree. We're going to have to wait and see how the rest of these maps play out, Jordan, before we make any sort of at least knowledgeable decision on where these two stand for now. But not a bad start. Indicates that we might be getting some interesting maps as we progress through this final match of our first week of Overwatch Contenders Australia season number 3. Geez, when you think about where we are at the start of the season, how quickly these rounds are going to play out, I'm very interested to know where everything's going to turn out at the end of regular season. Yeah,
well, I mean, the season doesn't last for too long. It's only 5 weeks and only 2 days per week as well. So it is kind of over in a bit of a flash. That's why you can't really look at these first matches in the first couple of weeks and say, oh, look, you've got time to warm up into the season, because you don't really. You only have the opportunity one time against every opponent. You only play a total of 5 matches. So everything really counts. And as I said before, once you kind of hit 3 match wins, I should say, you almost assure yourself a place in playoffs. So 1/3 of the way there for all the teams that have picked up their win today and yesterday so far. It's a nice place to be. Numbani, though, is the choice by Kanga Esports. And we'll see a little bit more mobility out from both sides here. No Reinhardts, really, at least heading into the first point. It'll be mostly the Winstons. We've got the Farahs again. Soldier, Sombra out for Lush as well. Bit of a change up from the GOATs that we have been quite used to seeing. Render and Winter, neither of whom I've necessarily associated with being a huge Farah player. Neither really ended up playing Farah all that much.
Well, now's their time to shine, Jordan. This is it. They've been uncaged, flying free with a giant rocket launcher. We'll see how this plays out for them. Kanga on attack. Melbourne on defense, since Melbourne won the last map and did not get to pick this one. Again, we're going to see a Soldier. It's always, we haven't seen much Soldier lately, but we have the last couple of days, I suppose. Particularly here on Numbani.
Yeah, it seems like Numbani first is just a little bit too much high ground oriented for the GOATs composition, so you need to change things up a little bit with the Farah, with the Winston Diva. Back to the days of old. Render will push forward. Concussive Blast on a bit of a lower cooldown, so Farah has a bit more mobility this season. Winter runs right into a rocket and knocks under pressure here as well. If both the DPS go down for Melbourne Mavericks, Kanga Esports are going to start this one off very nicely.
Yeah, nice little kickstart to Numbani here from Kanga, finding the picks that they need, which will find them point A and get them moving on to the payload.
Ooh, just capped. It was just capped. Or at least a little bit too late to get on. So futile effort here from Kanga Esports, and they would have been better off just completely resetting. Instead, a little too late for the contest. Now it's time for everybody to change things up. Tracer actually out here for Winter, but not sure how much longer that's going to last. Kanga Esports, more or less back to the full GOATs composition, exception being Lush. We'll take the Sombra, still with the EMP.
I just want to say how good it is to see teams, even though they've got ultimates, Render, Swarko both swapping off there.
We got to.
Yeah, you're tempted. You know you want to hit your Q, you want to use a rocket barrage, but you don't, because the Brigade is where you need to be.
Yeah, exactly. And he's going to get hit by a sleep dart there, so already not a bad start to this mini little skirmish from Kanga Esports. EMP out from Lush.
Yeah, Winter going to go down very quickly there as well. Davey finds Nox as well. So Kanga using this momentum going to continue pushing the payload forward. Mini pops the Primal Rage, trying to do what Mini can do, which to be fair is not really that much. Stuck inside the room, can't stop the payload moving. If you're nowhere near it, you're going to have to get back out of dodge and regroup with the rest of the team.
Mini can be a nuisance, but nothing past that, so Kanga will continue fairly uncontested through into point B at this point. Should be one more push at least for Kanga Esports that they can try to hold on to. Nox has just had to translocate out, so not sure exactly how close he is to this fight. Lush certainly quite far away. He's going to be still running back in as most of the fight has already played out here. Davey and Render already finding Fluoro and Mini respectively.
Lush looking very strong here on the McCree. Finding a number of picks, really uncontested as well. Look at that Render out with the Brigitte. Need to do something to deal with this competition right now. And again, Kanga swaps in. They find the point. Going to change it up. Here we go.
With Reinhardt time.
Yeah, I love it. This is great. This is precisely what I want to see. And it surprises me to see it, a team that's a new team comp, Jordan. They didn't play together in Season 2. Yeah,
definitely. Another EMP out. This time it's from Nox. Melbourne Mavericks going to try and take this opportunity to win a fight of their own. Four Walls with the battles then is going to find 2 kills already. And that's enough to push Kanga Esports away. Third for him there as well, as Lush will go down.
Yeah, Kanga just trying to build up their ultimate charge for now. Number of players swapping across. With 4.5 minutes is so much time to work with, heading towards point C with the payload. You can see they're almost halfway there, just 2 more corners to go. As we said, though, this is probably the most difficult part of attacking here on Numbani.
Yeah, this is where things always do get slowed down. Another re-engagement out from Melbourne Mavericks. Mini in the middle of them. He's like a whirlpool, smashing away. The Earth Shatter does not connect.
No, definitely less than ideal. And Swilko going to come out with a sound barrier. Fleur has a sound barrier of his own, but Forble's going to be the one to use the trance. Not before Nox goes down. Mini's gone down as well. This is all falling apart for the Mavericks on defense. They're going to have to fall back and Kanga get a free ride heading towards point C.
Yeah, even in the middle of that transcendence from Forbles, everybody on Kanga Esports falls. They will start to push right into point C now. The third and final for Kanga Esports. One more attempt here from Melbourne Mavericks if they can even touch, which they will be able to do. Sound barrier is out. Graviton Surge not far enough away to pull them off the cart.
No, maybe just a little bit late, and Render's going to go down there. Oily finds 2, but Sad Boy finds 3. 3 big kills. I don't think it's going to be enough to do all that much. Just a little bit slow.
Yeah, you get 2, I can do better, says Sad Boy, but in the end, it's still not enough for Kanga Esports to push on through. 3 minutes to hold here, though, for Melbourne Mavericks. Trying times ahead for them. Lots of attempts still available to Kanga Esports. Looking at Mini for this next fight to build up the Earth Shatter.
Yeah. Render about to get the rally. Nox has already used his.
Don't know where Lush's grab went. I think that might have been eaten by Oily.
Oh.
Melbourne Mavericks going to push on forward.
Never mind, Mini has the Earth Shatter back once again. Melbourne pushing a long way forward. Actually need to be careful here, Jordan, because this is the sort of situation where someone could jump on the payload very, very quickly, and you're a little bit slow to get back.
Yeah, also you can get a little bit over-eager sometimes when you're chasing down and find in a position where the spawn favors the attackers. Kanga will charge on forward. A nice Earth Shatter.
Comes through. This time it does connect. Finds Cantus. Nox goes down to Davey. Look, one support for one support, but Mini goes down to Render as well. That puts Kanga in the lead for now. Forbles does pop that trance a little bit. Too little, too late, some might suggest. The payload will continue pushing forward. They're just trying to chase down this Zenyatta. They want to clean him up. They want to stagger him out. Means he won't be there when the rest of the team pushes onto the payload to do what they can.
Melbourne Mavericks need to reset at the moment, just back away. That's exactly what you can see them doing into the spawn, trying to buy time for the respawners.
Much better Graviton Surge coming out from Kanga, Jordan.
Too slow on the beat drop there from Fluoro. There's a counteracting grab here from Winter, but there's no damage to follow it up. Everybody's dead for Melbourne Mavericks. Kanga Esports seconds away now from pushing on through and capping out that final point with 1.5 minutes left on the clock. Nicely done. Took them a while through that third phase of the map, but that is what it is. That is Numbani. Always takes a little bit longer. Overall, can't be disappointed with about 1.5 minutes left in the time bank.
No, 93 seconds. Precisely what you'd be keen to see, I suspect, if you were Kanga. They started off very well. A very clean point A. They took it without any real sort of hassle, I suppose. Melbourne didn't really put up much of a fight.
Yeah, I mean, a minute and a half, I feel like it's a fairly par score for Kanga Esports. Like
For point A, though.
Oh, for point A? Yeah. I mean, you're right. I'm just trying to remember what exactly happened. I think a couple of the players got picked off just a little bit for Melbourne. They can do their exact same thing, though, on the attack here. Same team comps. Nothing changed up. Well, Lush on the defense, though, is going to be Soldier, as opposed to what we saw was a Sombra on defense for Melbourne Mavericks. Render staying on Brigitte. A little bit different on the defense, but the attack, very similar.
See what Melbourne could do now. It's on their side of things. Melbourne already won up. They picked up control on Busan. Did so, to be fair, it was only a 2-1, but they looked the better team for sure on that particular map. This time around, I don't know. We'll have to see how they go now. It's their turn to attack. On defense, they were definitely okay.
Yep.
Seems these two teams still very much on par with each other. Quite close.
Well, perhaps the second half of Numbani will have a bit of a tale to tell for us here. Winter, again, taking away the Farah. Putting a little bit of pressure on, but also taking a few shots back from Lush in response. Sad Boy ready to follow up if there's any significant damage done, but Lush absolutely decimates Winter.
Yep.
See you later, mate. The respawn, or the res coming out from Fluoro.
Trying to find more. Mini going to go down as well. So Melbourne not getting maybe the picks that they'd want. They will find Cantus, but this is actually quite a slow process for them. They may be better off regrouping and trying again. Nox goes down to Sad Boy. You can see Lush doing a lot of work. Almost has the ultimate available here on Soldier. Can be quite effective up against the likes of a Farah or a Mercy in the air.
Definitely, but it's fairly easy to shut down as well. Mini and Oily will jump right on top of Lush as soon as he pulls out the attack visor, one would think. Nano visor actually is the option here. And, oh, the timing. Winter actually is going to pick him up with the rocket barrage. That is huge. Countering the counter, perhaps. Yeah. And now attack visor comes out from Nox himself. Lots of shields to deal with, but it'll be enough to push Kanga Esports away. Melbourne Mavericks will finish things off.
Nicely done. Good work from Melbourne there. They will get it across the line onto the payload. And a lot of that, I think, Winter doing a very good job with that rocket barrage. I feel like I'm quite critical of some of the barrages we see in Contenders Australia. That one certainly played out well.
Lush just caught off a little bit there in no man's land, taking quite a few free shots from Nox. Probably should not have happened, and that is going to mean Kanga just has to wait for him to respawn. Melbourne Mavericks allowed time to get in position for a forward hold, allow that payload to push on for free before Kanga Esports really even get a chance to recontest. Pushing their way in now, but they have such a hard time because they don't have control of that high ground. Melbourne Mavericks really hurting them, shepherding them around the map. Yeah,
forcing Kanga to play where Mavericks want them to play, Jordan.
That was so crisp from Lush.
He finds one, unfortunately. Goes down himself there to Oily. Though will pick Winter back up with the res. Knocks on the high ground. Getting a bit of a free fight, to be perfectly honest. You wouldn't expect to see an attacking Soldier up there. Normally they wouldn't be able to get up there in time. And Winter just hits the queue right in the middle of the hallway.
Could have been a bit of a panic ult there from Winter. He was probably going to die. Sure, it worked, but hasn't really done a whole lot with it, as Mavericks are going to lose the fight. Could argue maybe Winter wants to swap off, but so far we're not seeing that just yet. There we go. Inevitably, Brigitte and Zaya will come out. So fair enough in the end. Nicely done from Davey, though. Being a very big nuisance with that Winston. Straight back onto the Goats comp for Melbourne Mavericks now, as they will default to what they know.
Davey goes down. That was very quickly taken out there by Melbourne. They find Render as well. Lush does bring it back. I feel like some of the time Lush is holding Kanga together here on defense with the McCree doing a ton of damage. But this time around going to get forced back as well. Candace picked up by the Brigitte. The payload moves forward. Sad Boy going to have to get out. Swilko might get caught out as well if he's not careful. There we go. They will regroup and wait for the remainder of their team to respawn. Try and take one last fight before point B.
Self-destruct out from Melbourne Mavericks. Not going to be enough to find a kill onto Kanga Esports. Melbourne Mavericks having some trouble trying to push through point B. Definitely a good contest here from Kanga, and another Deadeye from Lush. He's building them up very quickly indeed.
Yeah.
Nox this time will go down, as well as the mech of Oily. Lush is having a fantastic time, but now running up against some trouble. Brigitte versus McCree doesn't seem very fair to me. Kanga Esports will hold once again, though. Winter will drop. Time definitely starting to favour Kanga Esports now, as even if Melbourne Mavericks do push through point B, their time advantage over Kanga Esports will start to dwindle.
Yep. 2 minutes, 10 seconds on the clock. Surely they get the payload across the line here, but they still have one final phase remaining. Sadboy throws out a self-destruct, doesn't find anyone. The next ultimate may be a crucial one. Baubles uses the trance on the offensive side, keeping his team alive. Davey down to Winter. The Brigitte again. A thorn in the side of that very big Reinhardt. Render gone. Oily picking up that kill. The payload will continue to move here. They'll be able to do it with about 1:40 on the clock. They'll get more time on their side as well. We'll see if it's enough, Jordan. 3 minutes, 10 seconds.
Tell you what, they're going to have a very good push through into point C if they want to post the same time as Kanga. Needs to be essentially 2 fight wins in a row for Melbourne Mavericks.
This scenario where you're sitting on the payload and you go, wow, this moves so slowly.
Yeah, I wish it would move a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
A lot of big ults here for Melbourne. You can push on through Kanga Esports. Mini gets shattered down. That'll kill Render, but no more following it. Oh, I lied. Kanga
So
Esports
many
falling.
kills, Jordan, going in the side of Mavericks, of the Mavericks even.
That's a very clean fight win, just off the Earth Shatter there of Mini. And it's actually doable now for Melbourne Mavericks to post that same time as Kanga Esports.
Look at all these ultis they've got, particularly with Nox lurking in the room with the Graviton Surge. Going to catch them from behind, and this could be it. The self-destruct comes through, finds Swilko. No, annoying Lucio skating around the point. Reinhardt's down as well.
Another shatter for Mini.
Oh, that will do it, Jordan. This payload only has 5 meters to go, and it should do it uncontested here. The sad boy is going to be a very, very sad boy.
The sad boy. That is literally who he is right now. And actually, Melbourne Mavericks will push on through, potentially with a better time than Kanga Esports here. It is just the trickle coming out now from the defensive side. But that is going to be that. About 1:50 on the clock from Melbourne. And they absolutely smashed that third phase of the map. Did not think that was going to be so possible, but very nicely done. The ultimate's coming up at the perfect timing. Great ult rotation. Not much of an advantage, to be honest, over Kanga, but it's a good feeling nonetheless. I'm sure that they were at least able to post a respectable time after struggling a little bit more so in the first stages of the map.
It did look like the first couple of phases here for Melbourne on attack would indicate that phase 3 would be difficult. But they managed to get through really only 2 and a bit fights there as well. So that's about as fast as you can do the third phase heading across to point C. So now they will get to defend first. Kanga going to have to attack. Not much time to work with at all. Melbourne will be looking for a better defensive phase than what they started with.
Both teams right now looking to defend that first point. Obviously for Kanga in this sense, they're looking to attack it. But I think right now, if you can hold the whole first point here as Melbourne Mavericks, that's really going to put you in a good position. At the moment, neither team, I think, will be feeling particularly confident after their first attacks. They did knock it over pretty quickly, but 1:49 does still leave a bit of doubt in your mind that if you think, okay, well, if our 1 or 2 of our pushes go wrong, we're actually going to run out of time to cap this first point out. And that's where things are really going to be the difference. If you can cap first out, you can really run through with that card in overtime. But that's not even going to be an option here for Kanga Esports if they can't actually cap first.
Well, we'll see how this plays out. Kanga going to try and push their way onto the point. They have 80 seconds to work with now. They've made their way across. The first pick will be crucial. Lush was low, stays alive. Battle of the Faras as well. Maybe who's going to get that first rocket barrage, Jordan? Who's going to be able to find the first pick? You'd love to have a Farah on your side and not on theirs. That is certainly for sure. Davey going to jump up onto the high ground, going to try and knock them off.
Oh.
Davey very low, but it's Lush who finds Winter. Render going to get taken down by Nox as well. It's a 1-for-1. Davey low. Davey very low. Stays alive for now. Winter picks back up. Bobbles finds Lush. Melbourne looking half decent here on defense. Jordan, they're going to be able to hold them off at least for the moment.
Yeah, very good stuff from Nox. So frustrating trying to kill a Winston like that when they're getting healed by a Mercy and you're playing Soldier and you're thinking, I'm hitting every single shot.
Yeah.
Why can't I kill him? Just need a little bit more burst damage sometimes with that Soldier. But Helix Rockets Well, that's what they're for.
Well, they get 34.2%, so it was not for nothing.
At least there's something to defend now, but you need a little bit more to feel comfortable. Kanga Esports looking at really not a whole lot in this one. Maybe a self-destruct from Sad Boy. Lush, if he can charge the EMP up, of course, is going to throw it out. Right now, as Kanga, if you get an ult, you have to use it. Tactical Visor from Nox. This might just shut it down.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays through. There you go. You'll see the Nano Boost comes through as well, but Winter going to go down there to Davey. Kanga finds first blood. Davey is low. Sad Boy D-Met. Cantus is low as well. The rest of the Mavericks looking pretty good. As I say that, Nox found out by a big self-destruct. Yeah, very nice sleep. That's what you want to see. Is this going to be enough for Kanga to get onto point A?
They need to just give up a little bit of ground here on the first point. Fluoro, Battle Mercy will take down Lush. Winter comes back in and gets rid of Render. Maybe it's time to mav up here, Ben, because Kanga Esports starting to fall away from the point. Melbourne Mavericks, they're managing to hold on.
At least for now, Jordan, at least for now. We'll see the rest of the team come through. Oiley's going to have this self-destruct available as well. That's going to force everybody off the point. Baubles goes down, losing their support. Fluoro out as well. Melbourne have no supports left now to work with. You can see the team swapping across to some different heroes. I don't even know where that self-destruct went, Jordan, but it didn't get what they needed to. Kanga will get the point, will be able to get them to the payload.
Well, it's still being contested for now by Melbourne Mavericks, but I think it is time to let it go, so to speak. Yeah. Very, very prolonged overtime fight, but in the end, Kanga do come away with it. Melbourne Mavericks now have lost that first point, and Kanga have achieved goal number 1. Any kind of overtime push here is going to be absolutely huge for Kanga.
Yeah, this is all bonus round right now for Kanga, but it is a very important bonus round, that is for sure. There's nothing to suggest that Melbourne cannot do precisely the same thing, so every meter here is crucial. If Kanga pick this up, they'll be 1 apiece heading into halftime. On the flip side, if Melbourne can do something, Jordan, going to put them in prime position 2-0 up. Only going to need 1 more map.
Yeah, Nox getting picked off like that is not good at all. This is really going to open the door for point B, in fact, for Kanga Esports. And every meter that they get forward is a meter that Melbourne Mavericks is going to hate at this point, because they know that the job is getting more and more difficult with every second that passes. Mini with another recontest. This might not be a great one, but Oiley does actually get Sad Boy.
Lash brings it back. Mini onto the point, though. Melbourne just trying to hold this short of point B. And will be successful in the end. Actually quite surprising there, Jordan.
I thought that that was going to be a little bit tougher, actually, for Melbourne to hold on to. They sort of went in a little bit 1 by 1, but getting some critical kills. It was going to take the Zarya quite a long time to actually get back to point B, but it's 71 meters out from Kanga Esports. Melbourne Mavericks will have to manage. First, they have to get that point, and that proved to be a little bit more difficult for Kanga than they would have liked it to. Could definitely see a 1-1 on the cards here.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good result, to be fair. Not as good, maybe, as what I think we saw yesterday, Jordan, where one team had almost no time to work with, but managed to push all the way through to point C with the payload, all the way through in overtime. However, 71.77 meters, certainly nothing to sneeze at. And now it's all on the backs of Melbourne here. They need to try, get across point A. It's going to be tough.
Yep, Lush will try and set himself up on the high ground with the Soldier. It's not going to be a Farah this time out from Winter, perhaps expecting Kanga to be running that hit scan to deal with him, and would be correct in that assumption. Nox, Oiley, and Mini are the ones that are really going to be able to contest the high ground here from Melbourne Mavericks. The rest will be staying down low. How much of a commitment there will be to the high ground remains to be seen for Melbourne Mavericks. They may just fully commit to the point and try to ensure Kanga has to contest against them.
Yeah, well, they're going to throw a couple of people up onto the high ground for now. Davies, the player on the low ground for Kanga, trying to fight it out. Well, clean. This first fight easily going across to Kanga. Very impressive coming out from them, considering they've already got, what, 94 meters there on the scoreboard, Jordan. They're in prime position.
Yeah, well, that's one fight out of maybe 3 here that Melbourne Mavericks are going to have to push into point A. Not a whole lot charged up there for them. Nothing extensive as far as the ultimates are concerned. Same cannot be said for Kanga Esports. 70% on Sad Boy, 63% on the Tac Visor for Lush. These are two very impactful ultimates, especially the Tactical Visor from the high ground. That's a much more well-executed dive from Melbourne Mavericks.
Going to get hacked, and Forball's going to combine to find two big kills there. Rendered down, Swilco down. Melbourne going to find this fight, going to find themselves the payload, and do so with a little bit of time left on the clock as well. Fortunately for Kanga, Jordan, they did actually make quite a lot of the overtime period that they did have. They got a very long way through, but almost all the way through to point B.
For Melbourne Mavericks to be able to push through point A like that without using any ultimates, not even having any ultimates available, just a perfect dive out from Mini and Oily there. And now all of the swaps start to come out for Kanga Esports. They have got nothing to hold this phase B with at the moment. So if Melbourne Mavericks can kind of make it quite an extensive way through before they have to use these support ults, they may just have enough to find the win.
Self-destruct right into the middle of it, not going to find any kills. Sad Boy will go down. Mini finds one out as well. Melbourne starting to win this fight already. Only Fluoro going down here for the Mavericks, and that will mean that Melbourne get a very quick wriggle on. They're going to get onto the payload. They're going to have all of their ultimates to work with. They barely used anything right there, Jordan.
Looking very bad right now for Kanga Esports. You just have to look at all of the player portraits right now. There's a rally, there's basically an Earth Shatter, there's basically a sound barrier, a self-destruct, and what does Kanga have to hold on here with? Absolutely nothing. And
Jordan.
If Kanga wins this fight, it is going to be a miracle.
Well, anything is possible, but Oily's got a big self-destruct that says, this ain't. We'll see it go through into the middle of the team. Are we going to find someone? Yes! Actually finds the tank. The Reinhardt's down. Render is down. The payload is very unlikely to be stopped right now. I thought Kanga were maybe going to be able to find Numbani. It does not look like that will be the case. Melbourne going to push through. They're going to make it 2-0.
2-0 indeed for Melbourne Mavericks. Very, very close stuff there going into the overtime, but such a clean take on point A. That was the real takeaway for Melbourne Mavericks. It gave them so much to work with. Just put their hand in the cookie jar and pull out an Earth Shatter, a Graviton Surge, a Self-Destruct, whatever.
I want to know what type of cookie jar you've got.
Yeah.
It sounds quite dangerous, to be perfectly honest.
They made it work, though.
They did indeed.
Very good stuff from Melbourne Mavericks. In the end, there's 2-0 up. Still two pretty close maps out here between Melbourne Mavericks and Kanga Esports, but just not close enough for Kanga, unfortunately. You say close enough, you say not quite good enough, and that is exactly Kanga Esports represented in this matchup.
It's one of those things where I look at these two teams and go, to be fair, they are both playing pretty well, but one of these teams is getting results today and the other one isn't.
Yeah, well, just one team, like maybe 10% better, 5% better, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
When push comes to shove, it can really just come down to one fight that will make the difference, and so far that has been the fight that has been won by Melbourne Mavericks. Not to say that the rest of this series is going to go the same way. It might not necessarily be a 4-0 today because of how close these two teams do look, but when you're up 2-0, things start to look a little bit more peachy for your side and obviously a little bit more grim for your opposition. So Kanga Esports definitely have a lot of work to do here after the break. They need to take some time, take 5 minutes and figure things out, figure out what they need to do here on potentially Hanamura or Horizon Lunar Colony to get a point back on the board.
Well, Elfishguy, Melbourne are 2-0 up against Kanga Esports as we head into halftime. Only 2 maps remain, I suspect, for the rest of today. We'll take one last very quick break and we'll be back right after this.